Hello, my friends, and welcome to a space where pleasure is treasured, relaxation is not what you think it is, and life firing on all cylinders is what we're about. If you are somebody who wakes up every day asking for way more, consider this your happy place. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. And I am in a dimly lit room, coming to you somewhat spontaneously today from the amazing library in the Castello di Casalborgone in northern Italy, one of my very favorite places in the world. So if I can just give you a little glimpse into what's going on here. There's all these incredible old books that are literally hundreds of years old that they restored when they bought this place. And over here, there's more books, and of course, a zebra table because everybody needs a zebra table, and a case of old. This case right here is full of birds that many of which are actually extinct. So this castle is hundreds of years old and just such an incredibly special place. I just highly recommend that everybody come here at least once in your lifetime. If you do, you will probably come more than once because it's just one of those places where you want to come back. This place has such a depth of silence and peace and space. And I've never been in a building before where I actually have been, where the building itself, the creation of this building is a massive facilitator. And it literally has so much silence, and it's so beautiful, and it's so full of things that sing with history and beauty and just so much uniqueness, that it just is this incredible invitation to have way more of this in our lives. And I kind of feel like, why not have as much beauty as possible on this planet? There is so much beauty that is available, and it's something that we really kind of have to prioritize. I know for a long time I used to, just really, and still do, really kind of had this sense of how I really love beauty. I love beauty. It is a massive gift to me, to my life, to my body, to my living. And I would say the creation of living is so much about having these things that seem like they're kind of frivolous or superfluous or not necessary elements of living, beauty and elegance. And I mean, this room, this place, and yet, I don't have to come to this castle, but it changes my life every single time I do because of how it's been created and because of the incredible attention to detail and beauty that has been instilled here in so many ways. And I remember at one point saying to somebody, I just want to create beauty in the world. And the person I was chatting with at the time was like, what, that's kind of well, that's not very valuable, And I kind of shut it down for a while. And then I realized, you know what, that was just that person's point of view. Um, I love beauty. And to me, beauty is a gift for our bodies. It's a gift for the world as well. But our bodies get to enjoy beauty, and not just the sight of it, but being in the space and the facilitation that is. And right now I'm doing an Access Consciousness 3-day body class here in this incredible, beautiful castle. And it really is like my co-facilitator for this class. We started the class today in the ballroom, which is this huge room that has this incredible ceiling with this amazing paint. It's just painted so incredibly, and it's like you can't. It's like hard to even talk in the space because it's so majestic and there's so much silence in the space. I don't know if you can hear that. The clock tower. There's a clock tower right outside here that's just amazing. And there's also been a lot of birds that are very loud and melodious, and the birds were really singing today and just filling the space in this class with their songs, and it was just so cool to see everybody in the room and all of the bodies really melting into a different possibility. And, I think that the invitation to beauty, it's such a different thing to consider to include in our lives. Because again, it's not necessary. It's not essential. It's not something that we have to have for survival, And so many people, are so focused on, like, especially in these changing times, there's so much going on in the world, economically, politically, um, and it's like we go into this survival mode, where it's like, okay, I just need to make sure I have the bare minimum and I have like food on my plate, a roof over my head, money in the bank, And when there's a lot of uncertainty, people tend to go to, holding on to their resources, financial and otherwise. They tend to, kind of draw into their own world, and really like make sure that they're just like that the essential things are, handled or whatever. And that's one of those moments where something like the prioritization of beauty and elegance and, just this incredible hedonistic living can kind of go by the wayside and become less of a priority. And I just want to invite you to consider, well, I mean, consider a world without beauty, you know. There in a lot of places that is the case. I've been to a lot of cities where it's just there's not a priority of beauty, and there's no nature, and it's just all concrete jungle kind of thing. And that creates a certain reality for our bodies, and then you come somewhere like here at the castle where there's just beauty in every molecule of this place, and that creates something very different. It's like, for me, like my body relaxes here. There's a level of peace that I have in this place that I don't experience really in a lot of, like, really anywhere else. I mean, it's very unique, the energy here. And it's like I get here and then just my whole life just changes from being here, and I don't have to do anything, and I don't have to process myself or, actively try to let go of stuff. It's like my life just changes when I'm at this place. I'm being facilitated by the molecules and by the intense elegance and beauty and history, of this place. And that is a contribution to me that goes so far beyond even when I'm here. The moments that I'm here, I cherish, and I come here as often as I can. And yet there's also, I take it with me when I leave. I go out into my, like, I know I'll go home to my home and make it more of a castle. I do. Every time I come home from the castle, I make my home more of a castle, and seek that out in my life. And it's so different to prioritize things that don't seem important to other people or that, seem like they're just sort of like a luxury, having a beautiful environment, being able to surround yourself with beautiful things. For so many people, that's a luxury. And I would say for me, it's vital to me. Like it has this sense of like giving me deep nourishment, deep in my bones, in my cells, in my molecules, in my being, that I wouldn't want to live without. And could I survive without that kind of beauty and elegance? Of course I could. But why just survive, Why choose to just survive when we can have the creation of living, when we can have this space of elegance, hedonism, relaxation, and the intensity of it all. That is really, I think, something that so many of us actually value. And sometimes it takes somebody else inviting us to or showing us, showing us what we value or inviting us to value what we truly value. When what you value is really different than what everybody else values. And that's been a big unwinding for me with the tools of access consciousness and Gary Douglas and Dane Here, who create access consciousness every day. They've been creating it for decades, and they also created this castle. And I think, as like growing up and, when I was younger, it was like I sort of felt like I needed to prove that I could go without, and there was some level of kind of like a badge of honor, if I could just be simple and live simply and go without and we spend so much time and energy proving that we can handle things, and I remember like when I got divorced, my kids were 1 and 3, so I had little babies, and I got divorced, and it was like, I had to really, I really did go into survival mode, and I spent a lot of time proving to myself and everybody else that I could do it. And when I found the tools of access consciousness, it was this invitation of like, well, sure, you can do it. Yeah, you can survive. Yeah, you can make all of these crazy things in your life work. You can be a single mom to two very intense, very young little boys, little babies, basically, and try to make a living and try to, have a healthy body and, all these things that I had going on. And it's like, I don't know why our world has become this place that values the hard road, but it has. And this whole like you get a badge of honor if you can survive, and somehow it's sort of like not cool in a way to choose something different than that and to live beyond that, like to be like, I'd like to have wealth and I'd like to have beauty and I'd like to be surrounded by elegance and I'd like to have a lot of ease in my life. And that's not a popular way to function. It's kind of, it's very bizarre to me. But I also get it because I used to function like that, like to prove, no, I don't need that stuff, Well, no, I don't need it. If all of it went away, I would still be okay. And I would also still be happy. Like I know how to choose to be happy no matter what. My happiness is not dependent upon beauty or money or elegance or, any of it. Uh, and I can still choose to have all of those things and choose to be happy, and it enhances my life. It is all of those energies of beauty and elegance and luxury and wealth. They are such a gift to me and to my body. They do make my life easier. They make my living easier. They make choosing things easier. They make being in the world easier. They make my body more comfortable. And those are all things that I enjoy. And so, do I have to have it? No. But can I choose it? And do I know how to choose it? Yes. And that's where we have to be willing to be different, because there's such a strong value, as I said, of, being able to make it, being able to survive, do it on your own. You don't need all the fancy stuff, And that's it's so there's so much cultural conditioning around that we really to choose something different requires you to be something different, and it requires you to have your own back in such a way that you're really willing to create your life in a way that is probably going to be judged by other people. When you have money, when you have wealth, when you have ease with money and ease with the level of choice that you have when you have wealth, and you're willing to surround yourself with beauty and you prioritize it, we that's where, a lot of people will judge you because, well, who knows why? We don't even need to go there. Just people will judge you for so many reasons. A lot of times that you're just a threat to their reality, and but it doesn't matter. They will judge you. And okay, so what? I started to look at it and go, well, I'd rather be wealthy and have fun with my financial resources and my ability to come and, stay places like this and have this beautiful life of travel and, just the enjoyment of living, the creation of living, and receive judgment from people than try to protect myself from these judgments from people that are not kind anyway. Um, and diminish my life and simplify and prove that I can survive, you know? And I always say to people in my classes, you're going to be judged either way. You're going to be judged by others no matter what you choose. You're going to have people in your life that judge you. You're going to have people in your life that, love you, hate you, judge you, think you're wonderful, think you're terrible, think you're, evil, greedy, whatever it is. And it's going to be different people with different judgments based on what it is that you're choosing and how you're creating your life. So, judgment of others is not something that you can escape, but you can actually not make it relevant to you. You can be interesting point of view with it. So, interesting point of view, if you don't know, that tool is an access consciousness tool that gives you a space of really of like allowance and being willing to basically not be affected by the judgments of other people and yourself as well. So judgment stops being something that means anything to you in any way when you function from interesting point of view. And so you can have that, and that's a choice, and that's a tool that you just have to use. You just say to yourself, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, or interesting point of view, they have this point of view. And then it just gives you say it, over and over until you get to more of a space regarding somebody else's judgments of you or your own judgments of you. And then those judgments, they don't mean anything. The other people's judgments, they're just judgments. They don't mean anything. They're arbitrary. They're not even relevant to you. But we make them relevant, and then we diminish, and we prove that we can survive, and we prove that we don't need beauty, and we prove all these things because we don't want to have the discomfort of the judgment. But the way you get out of the discomfort of judgment is not by adjusting your life so that others will approve of you. It's by seeing judgment as completely something that just is not relevant to you. People can judge you however they want to judge you. You still get to create the life that would be fun for you. And there's such a level of freedom with that that allows us to go and create these kinds of things. And, to prioritize, like for me, to say to myself, when I was struggling and I had babies and I was so stressed, my body was so stressed. I had so many things going on with my body and my life, and everything was just felt hard all the time. And I was like, you know what? Not This is not my reality. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I came to the planet for. This is not what I had these two children for. There has to be a different way, and I'm going to find it and I'm going to do it and I'm going to have it. And I just started moving in that direction. And I used the tools of access consciousness. And really, most of them are in the foundation class, which we just had one of those in Prague a week ago. I guess, yeah, we were doing it a week ago. And I will be facilitating one in Hungary this summer in July, and also in Boulder, Colorado in August. So if you want those tools, you can get them in the foundation class or take it again. It's always an amazing class to repeat. But it really has these tools that are the basis for creating something completely different, for creating the creation of living, where we start to prioritize what's true for us. We learn how to choose it. We learn how to create it with the power of choice. We learn how to get out of judgment and to not let other people's judgments affect us, and to have the courage to create what we would like to create. We start to have our own back. So there's so many tools. There's money tools, there's creation tools, there's relationship tools, so many tools in that class that just change everything. And I'm so I'm so grateful for those tools, because they really are the primary tools that I use every day, and that I started to use way back when, so long ago, to give myself permission to have a life of beauty, a life of ease, a life of elegance, a life of hedonism, a life of relaxation, creative possibility, knowing that I could choose anything and create it, knowing that I could have my own back and show up to, like, from that space to create whatever I would like to create. And just knowing that anything is possible. And if I know it's possible, I can have it. And even if I don't know what is possible, I can ask for what is possible beyond what I've considered, and it will show up. It's so amazing how these tools work. And and it's actually like this castle was created with the tools of access consciousness. And I got to I got to be witness to the creation of this castle, uh, because it was years in the making. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, said one day, "I want a castle in Italy." And that was the beginning. And not too long after that, I think it was just months after that, they found this castle, and they restored it. I did a Facebook Live video about it this week, but they restored it, they furnished it. It was all this magical, like very magical creation, the way that it all occurred. And and you know and it took years, so it's not always an overnight thing. But Gary is so willing to prioritize beauty, prioritize elegance, prioritize hedonism, prioritize, like, creating beautiful, powerful, transformational spaces that change people's lives. And they can, and they do. We can create that for ourselves. We can gift ourselves, things like coming to this place or other places that are similar. We can also just create that in our surroundings. I mean, even just gifting yourself flowers, maybe that's something that really enhances your sense of beauty and elegance and wealth and luxury. So it doesn't have to be big, expensive, you buy a castle, it can be just, finding a rock that is incredible and keeping that and looking at that and appreciating it. Um, so, but when we start to give ourselves permission to live like that, then it's the beginning of something really phenomenal. And I'm so grateful that I've been invited to that from Gary and Dane and the Tools of Access, and that I've invited myself to it as well, that I keep choosing it and being willing to be different, because you really do, to continually choose that kind of a path, you have to be willing to be different and more different all the time. And to really truly not make the judgments of other people mean anything to you, because they're just arbitrary. They're completely arbitrary. They don't have to mean anything. They don't mean anything. They're just a point of view that somebody decided to pick up and take on and project at you. And people do that to try to control you. People judge you to try to control you out of what you're choosing, so that you will stay small, so that they can stay small, and you will help them stay small. Well, fuck that. I'm like, I would rather surround myself with beauty and elegance and like financial freedom and just incredible living every single day. That's what I choose. And if people judge me, oh well, I don't care. So just a little, it's funny because when I started this podcast, I was going to talk about something completely different. I was going to talk about creating our bodies every day, which I'll probably do next time. I want to do one other podcast from the castle here. So yeah, maybe that's coming next week. We'll see. We'll see where that one goes. But I started showing you the library, and then I was like, well, let's talk about this. So a little bit of a meandering conversation. And, I have to say also, like, I'm so enjoying that lately, like just having these conversations that are kind of like, well, where can we go and what can we explore and what can we talk about? And just for the sake of exploring something different. Last week's podcast was a beautiful conversation with Christopher Hughes, and kind of also a meandering journey that was really delightful, such a gift, and very, winding, but we got to some really cool stuff. So if you didn't see that one, check that out. So I hope this has been a gift and a contribution, and if it hasn't, oh well, but you probably wouldn't still be listening. So thank you so much. And how much beauty and elegance and ease and wealth and creation and possibility can you choose for yourself, for your life today? And what if it is really your choice that starts all of that moving in such a different way than anything else? You are so much more powerful than you may realize, and our choice is truly what creates. And I'm so infinitely grateful to know that and to wield that and to help others to learn about how choice actually works. It's simple, and sometimes we have to peel back a lot of layers to get there. And then we keep getting there, and we keep getting there, and we keep getting there, because there's no there to get to. But a very powerful way of living. And I can't even imagine my life without it. So I hope this has been an inspiration, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If this conversation was inspiring to you, share the love. To work privately with me or for info on my upcoming classes and retreats, go to heathernichols.com. Have a beautiful day, and remember that the world thrives when you do.